What if everything you were ever taught about money was totally wrong? Not slightly wrong. Not a little off. But fundamentally, structurally, dangerously wrong. Imagine two fathers. Both intelligent men. Both working hard every single day of their lives. One had a PhD. He studied at some of the best universities in the world. He worked for the government, climbed the ladder, did everything society told him to do, and died leaving behind tens of thousands of dollars in debt. The other father never finished 8th grade. He dropped out of school young. But he was one of the wealthiest men in the state of Hawaii. He built businesses, bought real estate, and created a financial legacy that would outlast him by generations. Same era. Same country. Same economic system. Two completely different financial outcomes. And the difference between them had nothing to do with how hard they worked, and everything to do with what they believed about money. That is the central heartbeat of one of the most important personal finance books ever written, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Published in 1997, this book has sold over 32 million copies in more than 51 languages. It has appeared on the New York Times bestseller list for over 6 years. And it has fundamentally changed how millions of people around the world think about wealth, income, and financial freedom. But here's the thing, this is not just a book about money. This is a book about mindset. About how the stories we were told as children about money either build us up or hold us down for the rest of our lives. About how the school system, which teaches us math, science, history, and literature, never once sits us down and explains how money actually works, how taxes eat your income, how assets make you rich, and why your paycheck alone will never make you wealthy. Whether you are a professional just starting out, someone mid-career feeling stuck, a business owner looking to think bigger, or simply a person who wants to stop working for money and start having money work for you, this summary is for you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Two Fathers and Two Different Worlds. Robert Kiyosaki grew up with two father figures. His biological father, his poor dad, was a brilliant, well-educated man. He held a PhD, was the head of education for the state of Hawaii, and was deeply committed to his career in public service. He believed in the traditional roadmap to success: go to school, get good grades, find a secure job with benefits, work hard, and retire with a pension. His best friend's father, his rich dad, was a man who hadn't finished school but had an entirely different philosophy. He believed that the school system was designed to create good employees, not financially independent people. He saw money not as something you earn from a job, but as something you build systems to generate. From childhood, Robert had a front-row seat to two radically different philosophies, two radically different relationships with money, and two radically different life outcomes. Poor Dad said, "I can't afford it." Rich Dad said, "How can I afford it?" That single distinction might seem small. But think about what each phrase does to your brain. When you say, "I can't afford it," your brain shuts down. The question is answered. There is nothing left to think about. You accept limitation as reality. When you say, "How can I afford it?" your brain activates. It starts searching for solutions, for opportunities, for creative pathways. It treats limitation not as a wall but as a challenge to solve. Poor Dad believed that a love of money was the root of all evil. Rich Dad believed that a lack of money was the root of all evil. Poor Dad worked for the government. He had job security, benefits, and a pension. But he was always worried about money. Always stressed. Never quite free. Rich Dad worked for himself. He built businesses and bought properties. And while he took risks that Poor Dad would never take, he eventually reached a place where money flowed to him whether he was at work or asleep. Kiyosaki's core thesis is laid out right here, in this opening chapter: the rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. Everything that follows in this book is an exploration of how to make that shift from being a slave to a paycheck to becoming the master of your own financial destiny. Chapter 2, Why Teach Financial Literacy? Here is a hard truth that most people never want to hear. Your formal education prepared you to be an excellent employee. It taught you how to follow instructions, how to meet deadlines, how to pass tests. It may have given you professional skills that make you valuable to an employer. But it almost certainly never taught you how money works at a fundamental level. And that gap between professional education and financial education is the reason why so many high-earning professionals still live paycheck to paycheck. Kiyosaki introduces one of the most important concepts in the entire book in Chapter 2, the difference between assets and liabilities. This sounds like accounting jargon. But his definition is beautifully simple. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. That's it. That is the whole definition. Now, here is where it gets uncomfortable. Most people think their house is their greatest asset. Rich Dad Poor Dad directly challenges that assumption. If your house is not generating income, if it's not being rented out, if it's not cash flowing, then every month it is taking money out of your pocket. Mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance costs, insurance. It is not putting money in. It is taking money out. By the Rich Dad definition, that means your home, the thing most people consider their biggest financial achievement, is actually a liability. This is the financial literacy lesson that nobody teaches in school. Kiyosaki illustrates this with what he calls the cash flow pattern of the poor, the cash flow pattern of the middle class, and the cash flow pattern of the rich. The poor have a simple pattern: income comes in from their job, and it goes straight out as expenses. There is nothing left over. No investment. No savings. Just survival. The middle class have a more complicated and more dangerous pattern. They earn more money, yes. But as their income rises, their liabilities rise with it. They buy a bigger house, that is liability. They buy 2 new cars, that are liabilities. They use credit cards for lifestyle spending, and that is liability. Their income goes up, but their debt load rises just as fast. They feel richer, but they are not building real wealth. They are on a treadmill, running faster but going nowhere. The rich operate by a completely different pattern. Their income comes not from their labor alone, but from their assets. Their assets like rental properties, stocks, businesses, royalties generate income, and they reinvest that income into more assets. The cycle builds on itself. They are not trading time for money. They are building systems that generate money independently. This is the fundamental financial principle that school never teaches: build assets, minimize liabilities, and let your assets pay for your lifestyle. The reason the middle class is stuck is not laziness. It is ignorance. Not stupidity, but ignorance. A lack of financial education. And in a society where we trust schools to prepare us for adult life, the fact that financial literacy is not taught is not just a gap in the curriculum, it is a systemic failure with lifelong financial consequences for millions of people. Chapter 3, Mind Your Own Business. Here is something Kiyosaki says that catches people off guard. He says most people confuse their profession with their business. If you are a doctor, your profession is medicine. But if you spend your entire life working as a doctor, even a highly paid one, and you never build assets outside of your practice, then medicine is not your business. Medicine is your job. Your business, in the Rich Dad framework, is your asset column. Rich Dad's advice to young Robert was simple and relentless: mind your own business. Not your employer's business. Not your profession. Your own personal asset-building business, running quietly in the background of your daily life. The rich do not get rich because they earn large salaries. Many of the richest people in the world, especially in their early wealth-building years, earned modest incomes. What made them rich was what they did with that income. Instead of spending it on lifestyle, they directed it toward assets. Real estate, small businesses, stocks, or intellectual property. Things that would generate passive income over time. Meanwhile, the professional who earns $200,000 a year but spends $195,000 of it on mortgage, cars, private school, vacations, and restaurants is no wealthier than someone earning $50,000. They have a higher income, but they have not built their asset column. They are entirely dependent on their ability to keep working. And here is the terrifying truth about that dependency: what happens if you can't work? What happens if illness strikes? If the company downsizes? If the industry collapses? If you simply want to stop and want to spend more time with your family, travel, pursue a passion, but you can't because you have structured your life in a way that requires every dollar you earn? That is not wealth. That is a well-decorated cage. Kiyosaki urges readers, especially professionals, to begin building their asset column alongside their career. Not necessarily to quit their jobs, but to use the income from their jobs to acquire assets that generate income independently. For real estate, that means rental properties. For entrepreneurs, that means small businesses or side ventures. For investors, that means dividend stocks, REITs, or index funds. For creatives, that means books, courses, intellectual property that generates royalties. The point is not the specific vehicle. The point is the principle: you must build income-generating assets. Because assets work when you sleep. Your job doesn't. Chapter 4: The History of Taxes and the Power of Corporations. Here is something that wealthy people understand and that most employees never learn. The tax system is not neutral. It does not treat all income equally. And understanding that difference can save you or cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. When you earn a salary, the government takes its cut before you see your money. By the time your paycheck arrives, taxes have already been deducted. You earn, you pay taxes, and then you live on what's left. That is the employee's reality. But wealthy business owners and investors, those who understand corporate structures, operate very differently. A corporation earns money. Then it pays its expenses. And then it pays taxes on whatever is left. The wealthy use legal corporate structures to pay for their lifestyle expenses: travel, cars, meals, home office space, before taxes are calculated. The employee cannot do this. The corporation can. Kiyosaki is not advocating for illegal tax evasion. He is pointing out a systemic reality: the tax code is written with legal advantages built in for business owners and investors. These advantages are available to anyone who understands them and structures their financial life accordingly. He quotes a rich person's formula: corporations earn, spend, then pay taxes. Employees earn, pay taxes, then spend. That difference in sequencing is one of the primary reasons the wealthy stay wealthy and grow wealthier over time. Beyond taxes, Kiyosaki identifies 5 major obstacles that prevent people from accumulating wealth, even after they understand the principles. 1. Fear. The fear of losing money paralyzes most people. They prefer the false safety of a paycheck over the real possibility of financial independence. Kiyosaki says the rich are not fearless, they simply manage their fear differently. They take calculated risks, they learn from losses, and they keep moving. 2. Cynicism. The economy is rigged. I'm not smart enough. Investing is just gambling. Cynicism sounds sophisticated, but it is often just fear wearing a disguise. It keeps people on the sidelines, watching others build wealth while they stay stuck. 3. Laziness. Interestingly, Kiyosaki argues that the busiest people are often the laziest when it comes to financial management. They are too busy working to ever stop and ask, am I working toward financial freedom, or just keeping busy? Busyness becomes a justification for not doing the deeper, harder work of building assets. 4. Bad habits. Most people pay everyone else first: the landlord, the utility company, the bank, and save whatever is left. Rich Dad's rule is the opposite: pay yourself first. Invest before you pay your bills. This forces you to find creative solutions to cover your expenses rather than consuming every dollar you earn. 5. Arrogance. The belief that what you don't know doesn't matter. The most financially dangerous people, Kiyosaki warns, are those who are experts in their field but assume that expertise transfers to money management. A brilliant surgeon who knows nothing about investing is just as financially vulnerable as someone with no education at all. These 5 obstacles are not about intelligence or opportunity. They are about psychology, the internal barriers that prevent good people from achieving financial freedom even when the knowledge is available to them. Chapter 5: The Rich Invent Money. There is a phrase Kiyosaki uses that has become iconic in the personal finance world: the rat race. The rat race is the cycle that traps most working people for their entire lives. You wake up. You go to work. You earn money. You pay your bills. And then you wake up and do it all over again. Day after day. Year after year. You work to pay the mortgage, the car payment, the credit card debt, and by the time those are paid, there are new expenses. New wants, new needs, new pressures. And so you keep running, faster and faster, on a wheel that never stops. The cruel irony of the rat race is that the more successful you become, the more you earn, the faster the wheel spins. You earn more, so you spend more, so you need to earn more. More income, more lifestyle, more debt, more work. The wheel gets bigger. But you are still on it. How do you get off? By learning to see money differently. Kiyosaki argues that the rich don't just find opportunities, they create them. Financial intelligence is not passive. It is active. It requires you to develop skills in 4 core areas. Accounting, understanding financial statements. Knowing the difference between an income statement and a balance sheet. Being able to look at any financial picture and understand what it is saying. Investing, understanding how money makes money. The science of turning $1 into more dollars through strategic placement in income-generating assets. Understanding markets, understanding the laws of supply and demand. Knowing when to buy, when to sell, and how emotion drives financial markets in ways that the intelligent investor can exploit. The law, understanding the legal structures, corporations, tax law, liability protection that the wealthy use to protect and grow their assets. He tells a story about buying a house worth $75,000 for $20,000 and selling it for $60,000 within a few months, not because of luck, but because he understood the market, saw an opportunity others missed, and moved quickly with financial intelligence. The poor and middle class wait for opportunities to come to them. The rich manufacture opportunities using financial education. And crucially, financial education is not something you are born with. It is not reserved for those with business degrees or wealthy parents. It is learnable. It is available. And the fact that you are watching this video right now means you are already beginning to acquire it. Chapter 6: Work to Learn, Don't Work for Money. This chapter contains one of the most counterintuitive and powerful pieces of career advice you will ever encounter. Most people choose jobs based on salary. They go where the money is. And while financial compensation matters, Kiyosaki argues that this approach, optimizing for earnings over learning, is one of the primary reasons talented people stay stuck. His rich dad gave him a different framework: take jobs that teach you valuable skills, not just high salaries. What skills? Kiyosaki identifies 3 that he considers essential for financial success. Sales and marketing. The ability to sell is the single most important business skill in the world. People who cannot sell are forever dependent on those who can. Whether you are selling a product, an idea, a company, or yourself, the ability to communicate value persuasively is irreplaceable. Most professionals are never taught to sell, and they are financially disadvantaged because of it. Communication, the ability to write, speak, and connect with people. Many of the smartest people Kiyosaki has met are financially struggling, not because of lack of intelligence, but because they cannot communicate their intelligence effectively. They cannot lead teams, negotiate deals, or inspire others to take action on their behalf. Management, the ability to manage people, systems, cash flow, and time. Successful business owners and investors don't do everything themselves. They build systems and manage those systems. That requires leadership, the ability to attract, motivate, and direct talent toward shared goals. He shares a story of meeting brilliant people, a journalist and a writer who were struggling financially despite exceptional talent. The journalist complained that Kiyosaki's writing was subpar compared to hers. And she was right. Kiyosaki openly admits he is not the world's greatest writer. But Rich Dad Poor Dad has sold tens of millions of copies, while the journalist continued to struggle. Why? Because Kiyosaki learned to sell. He learned to market. He learned to package ideas in ways that reach massive audiences. The title of the book that changed Kiyosaki's approach? Best-selling author, not best-writing author. The lesson is not that quality doesn't matter. It is that quality alone is never enough. You must pair your expertise with the ability to sell it, communicate it, and build systems around it. Seek work that teaches you skills, not just income. Because skills compound over a lifetime. A salary from a job ends the moment you stop showing up. But sales skills, leadership skills, financial literacy, these assets travel with you forever and open doors that a high salary alone never will. Chapter 7: Overcoming Obstacles and 10 Steps to Awaken Financial Genius. At this point in the book, Kiyosaki shifts from what the rich know to how you actually begin doing what they do. Because knowing the theory and executing the practice are two very different things. He offers a framework, not a rigid prescription, but a series of principles and starting points for building financial intelligence and beginning to accumulate wealth. Step 1: Find a reason greater than reality, the power of spirit. Before you change your bank account, you must change your motivation. Kiyosaki talks about needing a why that is bigger than obstacles. Most people have weak financial reasons, vague desires like, I want to be comfortable, or I want to retire someday. Rich Dad taught him that real motivation comes from both sides, the things you deeply want, and the things you deeply don't want. Use both as fuel. Step 2: Make daily choices, the power of choice. Every day, you choose how to spend your time and your money. You can choose to invest in financial education. You can choose to buy assets instead of liabilities. You can choose to be a little more financially conscious today than you were yesterday. Wealth is built one choice at a time. Step 3: Choose friends carefully, the power of association. This sounds almost too simple. But the people you spend time with shape your beliefs, your habits, and your financial worldview. If all your friends believe that investing is risky, that money is evil, and that a stable job is the only safe path, those beliefs will influence you whether you realize it or not. Seek out people who think like you want to think. Learn from those who are where you want to be. Step 4: Master a formula, then learn a new one, the power of learning quickly. The wealthy are continuous learners. They do not master one skill and stop. They learn investing, then accounting, then marketing, then management. They are intellectually restless in the best possible way. They know that every new skill compounds with the ones they already have. Step 5: Pay yourself first, the power of self-discipline. This bears repeating because it is so universally ignored. Pay yourself first. Invest before you pay bills. Force yourself to be creative about expenses rather than consuming every dollar you earn. This is the most powerful financial habit you can build and the most uncomfortable in the beginning. Step 6: Pay your brokers and advisors well, the power of good advice. Cheap advice is expensive in the long run. The right financial advisor, accountant, or real estate broker can save you and make you far more than their fee. The wealthy do not try to save money by avoiding expert counsel. They invest in the best advice they can find, because they know that knowledge compounds faster than money. Step 7. Be an Indian giver, the power of getting something for nothing. This is about the art of recovering your initial investment quickly so that your risk capital returns to you while the asset continues to generate income. The wealthy look at every investment with this question: how quickly can I get my money back? Once you have recovered your initial capital, the ongoing returns are effectively infinite on your original investment. Step 8. Use assets to buy luxuries, the power of focus. Kiyosaki does not say never enjoy the fruits of your labor. He says delay the lifestyle, build the asset first, and let the asset pay for the luxury. Want a luxury car? Build or buy an asset that generates the monthly payment. Want a vacation home? Acquire a rental property first. Let wealth fund your lifestyle, don't let lifestyle consume your wealth. Step 9. Choose heroes, the power of myth. Find people you admire financially, like investors, entrepreneurs, builders, and study them. Make them real in your mind. Think about how they would approach a deal you are considering. This is not about worship. It is about modeling. Our brains learn powerfully through story and example. Step 10. Teach and you shall receive, the power of giving. Money, like water, flows best when it circulates. Generous people, those who give, share, and teach, often find that abundance flows back to them in unexpected ways. Scarcity thinking hoards. Abundance thinking shares. And abundance thinking attracts more abundance. Chapter 8. To do or not to do, final thoughts. Kiyosaki ends Rich Dad Poor Dad not with complex formulas or insider secrets. He ends with something far simpler and far more powerful: a challenge. He has just spent an entire book dismantling the belief system that keeps most people financially stuck. He has shown you that the rich and poor do not differ in intelligence or opportunity as much as they differ in mindset and education. He has given you the framework, the philosophy, the starting steps. And now he turns it back to you. He says, most people will read this book, nod their heads, agree with everything in it, close the cover, and go back to doing exactly what they have always done. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. The principles in this book are not complicated. They do not require an elite education or a massive starting capital. They require a willingness to see the world differently, to challenge the financial beliefs you inherited from your parents, your school, your culture, and to take small, consistent, deliberate actions in a new direction. Kiyosaki's final message is this: the single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If trained and developed, it can create enormous wealth. If left untrained, if fed a lifetime of limiting financial beliefs, it will simply execute the patterns it was given, no matter how talented or hardworking the person inside it. He urges readers to start. Not to wait until conditions are perfect. Not to wait until they have more money, more time, or more certainty. To take one step, one toward building their financial education and their asset column. To buy one book. To talk to one advisor. To research one investment. To start building one small income stream. Because every large fortune was once a small one. Every financial dynasty began with a single decision to do something different. Let's recap the core lessons of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Before we close, let's bring all of this together, the essential truths of Rich Dad Poor Dad distilled to their most powerful form. Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money, money works for them. The foundational mindset shift. Stop trading time for money exclusively. Begin building assets that generate income independently of your labor. Lesson 2. Financial literacy is the most important education you were never given. Schools produce employees, not investors. Your financial future is your responsibility to educate yourself about. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out. Know the difference. Lesson 3. Mind your own business. Your job is your profession. Your business is your asset column. Build it alongside your career quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Lesson 4. Understand how taxes and corporations work. The tax code rewards investors and business owners. Understand legal structures. Use them. The difference between paying taxes as an employee versus as a business owner can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars over a career. Lesson 5. The rich invent money. Financial intelligence is active, not passive. It requires skills in accounting, investing, market understanding, and law. These skills can be learned by anyone willing to put in the time. Lesson 6. Work to learn, not just to earn. Prioritize skills over salary at key points in your career. Sales, communication, and management skills are more valuable over a lifetime than any single high-paying job. Lesson 7. Overcome your obstacles. Fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance are the true enemies of financial freedom. Identify which ones live in you. Address them with honesty and discipline. Lesson 8. Take action. The gap between knowing and doing is where most people live their entire lives. Cross the gap. Start today. Start small. Start imperfectly. Just start. You just walked through one of the most influential financial books of the last 3 decades. You now understand why so many talented, hardworking, well-educated people remain financially stuck. Not because they lack effort or intelligence, but because they lack the specific knowledge that wealthy people learn and live by. You understand the difference between assets and liabilities. You understand the cash flow patterns of the poor, the middle class, and the rich. You understand the 5 obstacles that block financial freedom. You understand why financial literacy is more important than professional education alone. And you understand the first steps available to you right now, today, regardless of your income level or starting point. Robert Kiyosaki wrote this book to change you. To change the way you think about every dollar you earn, every purchase you make, every professional decision you face. Subscribe our channel and stay on this journey with us. Every week, we bring you the most powerful ideas from the world's greatest books on business, investing, psychology, self-help and personal growth. Because the most successful people in the world are relentless readers and this channel is your library. See you in the next one.